You ever notice how when a woman really starts to fall for someone, she suddenly pulls back, stops texting as much, seems distant, maybe even a little cold? And your first instinct is, what did I do wrong? You start chasing, you start overanalyzing. But here's what you're missing when a woman is deeply in love. She's not ignoring you out of disinterest. She's overwhelmed by emotion she can't fully process yet. When she feels that deep connection, it exposes every fear she's been carrying. Fear of losing herself, fear of rejection, fear of being too much or not enough. So she retreats, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much. And that's something a lot of men and even other women misread. When a woman goes quiet, it's often because she's recalibrating. She's trying to balance what her heart wants with what her mind is screaming at her to protect. She's thinking, can I trust this? Can I trust him? Can I trust myself? That's not avoidance. It's self-preservation. It's what strong, emotionally aware women do before they let anyone into their world completely. And here's the truth. If you panic in that space, if you start chasing validation or demanding reassurance, you confirm her worst fear that love means losing her control. The real move is to hold your ground, be stable, be consistent. Let her see that your presence isn't conditional on her attention. When a woman is deeply in love, she needs to feel safe enough to surrender. Not pushed, not convinced, but safe. Because safety is what allows her to lean in fully. So when she seems to be ignoring you, what she's actually doing is testing the environment. She's watching if your energy remains steady when she pulls back. And that's the difference between men who get loved and men who get left. The ones who get loved don't chase the noise, they trust the silence. They understand that sometimes love isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet, thoughtful, and guarded. So stop assuming her distance is rejection. Sometimes it's a sign of deeper emotion than she's ever allowed herself to feel. And if you can stand strong through that, if you can be the calm in her storm, you won't just earn her love, you'll earn her trust. And that's when everything changes. When a woman begins to fall deeply in love, something fascinating happens inside her. It's not the butterflies, not the excitement, not the constant smiles that people usually associate with love. It's the flood of emotion that hits her all at once. It's the way love stirs up every hidden feeling she's been suppressing for years. She suddenly starts feeling vulnerable, exposed, even a little scared. And that emotional intensity can be overwhelming. So instead of moving closer, she might instinctively pull back. From the outside, it looks like she's ignoring you. But internally, she's in a tug of war between wanting to give in to the connection and wanting to protect herself from the possible pain that could follow. This isn't about losing interest. It's about losing control. When a woman really loves, she doesn't love halfway. She feels deeply, invests completely, and gives all of herself when she finally decides it's safe. But before she gets there, she has to process what this love means. She's questioning everything, how real it is, whether she can handle it, and whether she can trust what's unfolding. The irony is that the stronger her feelings become, the more she may retreat. It's not rejection. It's her emotional system trying to regulate itself before it gets swept away by the intensity. Women are wired to connect emotionally, but they're also wired to protect that connection from being taken advantage of. Love can trigger her fears of abandonment, of being misunderstood, or of repeating past mistakes. Maybe she's been in situations before where giving too much of herself led to heartbreak. So when she starts feeling that deep emotional pull, part of her mind screams, slow down. Don't get hurt again. Her silence becomes a form of emotional self-defense. She's trying to get clarity before she lets herself fall further. This emotional pause can confuse anyone on the receiving end. You might think she's suddenly uninterested or losing attraction, but what's really happening is far more complex. She's recalibrating her emotional boundaries. She's trying to determine whether this connection is safe enough to trust with her full vulnerability. It's not that she doesn't want to love, it's that she wants to make sure her love lands in a place where it's valued and protected. Understanding this changes everything about how you respond. Instead of taking her withdrawal personally, recognize it as a sign that her feelings have reached a deeper level. Her emotions have outpaced her sense of safety, and she's pulling back to regain balance. What she needs in this moment isn't chasing or reassurance. It's space to process and the stability of knowing you're still there when she's ready. When you can stand steady in that silence, you communicate something powerful that her emotional intensity doesn't scare you. That you can handle her depth without demanding constant validation. When a woman is deeply in love, ignoring you isn't about pushing you away. It's about grounding herself so she doesn't lose her sense of self in the process. Her heart is already invested. She's just making sure it's safe to stay there. When a woman goes silent, it's easy to mistake it for disinterest or emotional detachment. But in reality, her silence often comes from a place of self-protection. When her emotions deepen, she starts to feel vulnerable, exposed in ways that make her uncomfortable. Love, for her, isn't just an emotion. It's a full-body experience that touches every fear, insecurity, and past one she's ever carried. So when those feelings start to surface, she needs time to breathe, to analyze, to make sense of what's happening inside her. Her quietness becomes her safety net, a space where she can evaluate whether what she's feeling is real, sustainable, and safe. This internal retreat isn't about ignoring the person she loves, it's about creating emotional distance long enough to regain clarity. Love can feel like both freedom and danger. It opens her heart, but also makes her susceptible to pain, disappointment, or loss. Silence is how she takes back control in a situation that feels uncontrollably powerful. She's thinking, can I trust this connection? Can I trust him with the parts of me that no one else sees? That's not avoidance. It's awareness. It's emotional intelligence in motion. She's doing the work to make sure that what she's stepping into doesn't compromise her peace or self-worth. This is something many people misread because society often equates communication with connection. But a woman's silence can be one of the most emotionally active moments of her experience. In that quiet, she's assessing. She's measuring your consistency, your energy, your reaction to her distance. She's not looking for grand gestures or desperate pleas. She's looking for emotional maturity. She wants to see if you can respect her need for space without making it about you. That's the real test, not how much attention you can give her, but how stable you remain when she withdraws it. When she's silent, she's not shutting down emotionally. She's fortifying her boundaries. Love doesn't erase a woman's need for safety. It amplifies it. The deeper she feels, the more she wants to make sure that her vulnerability won't be used against her. Maybe she's been through relationships where her openness was met with manipulation or neglect. Maybe she's still healing from times when she gave too much too soon. Her silence is a promise to herself that this time she'll do it differently. If you can understand that her quietness isn't rejection, you stop reacting with fear and start responding with strength. You give her what she needs most: stability. When she sees that your behavior doesn't change just because she's withdrawn a little, it builds trust. She starts to realize that your connection isn't conditional on her constant attention. She begins to feel safer, not because of what you say, but because of what you don't do. You don't chase, you don't guilt her, you don't crumble, you stay grounded. Her silence is her way of building emotional safety before she leans all the way in. It's her process of ensuring that love doesn't cost her her peace. When a woman pulls back, most people panic. They start to overthink every text, every tone, every little shift in energy. But reacting from fear only makes things worse. When you start chasing, demanding answers, or begging for reassurance, what you're really communicating is that her distance controls your stability. And nothing kills attraction faster than showing someone that your sense of peace depends on their approval. The key is to stay grounded, to hold your emotional center even when it feels like she's slipping away. Because when a woman senses that your calm isn't shaken by her space, she begins to feel safe again. Love doesn't just test chemistry, it tests emotional capacity. A woman who's deeply in tune with her emotions needs a partner who can handle the full spectrum of what she feels. Sometimes that means handling her silence without reacting to it. She's not testing you to play games. She's testing you to understand whether your energy is steady enough to support her vulnerability. The moment you chase validation from her, she loses the sense of emotional security that makes her want to lean in. What she's drawn to is your ability to stay composed when everything feels uncertain. Being grounded doesn't mean being cold or detached. It means you hold your presence without trying to control the outcome. You can care deeply without panicking. You can communicate openly without demanding constant reassurance. When you stay rooted in your own sense of worth, you show her that your love isn't fragile. It's stable. That's the kind of energy that makes a woman feel like she can trust you with her heart. Because if you can't stay centered when she steps back, how will you handle things when life gets harder, when emotions get heavier, when real challenges show up? When a woman pulls away, it's often because she's trying to find balance within herself. If you chase her during that process, you disrupt her flow. But if you stand calmly, you give her the space to breathe and the safety to come back on her own terms. That's how deep relationships are built. not through pressure, but through patience. Your consistency becomes the anchor she can return to when her emotions settle. It tells her without words, I'm not here to control you, I'm here to support you. As most people think love is about constant closeness, constant communication, but real love has seasons, moments of intensity and moments of quiet. Learning to hold steady through both is emotional mastery. It's knowing that your worth isn't measured by her level of attention, but by your ability to remain composed no matter what happens. When you stay grounded, you lead with emotional strength instead of insecurity. She doesn't need you to chase her. She needs to feel your quiet confidence. That calm energy tells her she's with someone who's not afraid of space, silence, or uncertainty. And that's the kind of man a woman can truly fall in love with, because she knows his love isn't driven by fear. It's built on strength. Safety is the foundation of a woman's love. Before she can fully give herself, she needs to know that her emotions are safe in your hands. It's not about how attractive you are, how much you do for her, or even how much she feels for you. It's about whether she feels safe enough to let go. Love for her isn't just connection, it's exposure. It's handing someone the power to hurt her and trusting they won't. That's why she won't surrender her heart until she senses real stability in your presence. She needs to feel that she can lean on you without losing herself. When she feels emotionally safe, she softens. She opens up, shares her thoughts freely, expresses affection without hesitation. But when she senses instability, when your reactions are unpredictable or your emotions depend on hers, she closes off. Safety isn't built through words or promises. It's built through consistency. It's built when your actions match your intentions, when you show that you can handle both her tenderness and her storms without judgment. Women notice everything: the tone in your voice, the way you respond under stress, how you handle conflict. All of it tells her whether her heart will be protected or put at risk. The truth is, a woman can't fully surrender in love if she feels like she has to protect herself from the person she loves. She won't relax if she feels she has to monitor your emotions or walk on eggshells to keep the peace. She needs to feel that your presence brings calm, not chaos. That's what allows her to trust you with the deepest parts of herself. And that trust isn't something you demand, it's something you earn by being emotionally grounded, by listening instead of reacting, by showing up the same way on the hard days as you do on the good ones. Safety isn't about making her dependent on you. It's about helping her feel free with you. The safer she feels, the more she becomes herself, the more she laughs, shares, and connects without fear. You'll notice that when she feels truly secure, she starts to meet you halfway. She doesn't pull back or test you, she invests. That's what emotional safety creates. It transforms hesitation into devotion. Pressure, on the other hand, destroys safety. The moment you try to convince her, persuade her, or rush her into opening up, she retreats. Love can't grow where someone feels cornered. What creates closeness isn't demand, it's patience. The more you respect her pace, the more she trusts your intention. She realizes you're not there to take from her, you're there to build with her. When she feels safe, she doesn't have to guard herself. She doesn't have to hide behind pride or distance. She lets you see her, the real her. That's when love stops being something she manages and becomes something she experiences. And that kind of love doesn't just feel good. It lasts because it's built on emotional security, not fear. Silence is one of the most misunderstood parts of love. Most people rush to fill it, to fix it, to turn it into something louder and more certain. But real connection often lives in those quiet spaces, the moments when words fall away and presence becomes the only language that matters. When a woman goes silent, it's rarely because she's stopped caring. More often, it's because she's processing something too big for words. And if you can trust that silence, instead of trying to control it, you show her something she doesn't see often: emotional maturity. You show her that your connection isn't built on constant noise. It's built on understanding. The men who truly connect on a deep level don't panic when things get quiet. They know that stillness is where trust grows. It's where love proves itself without needing constant validation. When a woman feels something real, she often needs silence to make sense of it. That pause is her gathering her thoughts, sorting through her fears, and deciding if she can lean in fully. When you can stand steady through that quiet, you become her anchor. You communicate without words that her emotions don't scare you. You're not here to pressure her or fix her. You're just here, calm and consistent. Trusting the silence means not mistaking distance for disconnection. It means recognizing that love doesn't always show up through grand gestures or constant attention. Sometimes love is patient. Sometimes it's a quiet presence that doesn't demand proof. When you resist the urge to chase, text excessively, or force conversations, you allow the relationship to breathe. You give both of you space to reflect, to appreciate, and to reconnect with more clarity. That restraint is powerful. It shows strength, not indifference. Women are deeply intuitive. They can sense when someone's energy shifts from confidence to insecurity. When you start to panic during silence, she feels it instantly. It makes her question whether your connection is stable or built on anxiety. But when your energy stays calm, she feels safe to re-engage on her own terms. That's how trust deepens, not because you demanded attention, but because you showed that you can handle emotional space with grace. The truth is, silence reveals more than words ever could. It shows how comfortable you are with yourself and with the person you love. It exposes whether your connection is dependent on constant reassurance or rooted in genuine emotional security. When you trust the silence, you give her permission to trust you. You're proving that your love isn't fragile. It doesn't need noise to survive. Every strong relationship has moments of quiet. The ones who last are the ones who learn to honor those moments instead of fearing them. When you can hold space without losing composure, you stand out because you're not trying to chase love. You're allowing it to unfold naturally. And when a woman feels that calm confidence, she knows she's found something rare. Someone who doesn't just want her attention, but understands her peace. Love isn't a constant chase or a series of loud gestures. It's a balance of presence, patience, and emotional strength. When a woman seems distant, it's often not a sign of fading feelings, but of feelings growing deeper than she knows how to handle. If you can stay grounded through that, if you can trust her process without fear, you give her the one thing every woman craves in lovey safety. Safety to feel, to express, to surrender without losing herself. That's when love stops being a performance and becomes a partnership, rooted in trust, not tension, in steadiness, not struggle. Thank you for listening, for being open to understanding the deeper side of connection, and for choosing to grow into the kind of person who brings calm instead of chaos, strength instead of pressure, and love that truly lasts.